Hi everybody and welcome to Let's Build Live Remote Kill Works. How are we all doing? I hope you are well. And yes, Lewis, I am good, thank you. So yeah, here we are. A workbench that is so clean and empty, it makes me feel like I'm missing something. Because there's nothing from this end all the way down here. Nothing on the workbench. It's a bit weird, that. And here we are, ready to continue with the C2 and get on with the chassis. And if we're lucky, at least have a rolling chassis by the end of the evening, which would be good. The hydration vessel lives down on the shelf below, so you can't see that. It is important though. And good evening, Alan. How are you? I hope you are well. And yes, we are also joined by my new running inboard. And the clean workbench might have just been an excuse to be able to pan the camera right across it. All these things are possible. Good evening, Hillside Junction. How are you? I hope you are well. So yes, as I was saying, the aim of the evening is the chassis. Words, I can English. We're off to a good start here, aren't we? Come, what do you think of it? It's here waiting for your comment. It's wonderful, isn't it? Big thank you to Richard at Monksgate Models. Yes, indeed. Chapesses, and everything in between and outside. Running board looks good. I thought it looked a bit too red in photos. That looks spot on. It is absolutely fantastic. So the red was matched to the one at Sheffield Park, and it does look absolutely fantastic. Honestly, seeing it in photos and seeing it actually here in real life is completely different. It's so good. Richard's done a fantastic job on it. Worth every penny I paid for it. Definitely recommend his service. Let's move the broken saw off the workbench, because I actually don't want that there. But what we are going to want is the cutting mat. Although the glass-topped workbench is useful this evening, because we will be able to check that the chassis is actually square. That's the whole point of having the glass surface. So I have got the instructions out. They are in front of me. You can just see the bottom of them there. And it is, as you would probably expect, a reasonably straightforward looking chassis. Hopefully it isn't like several millimetres too high. Not that I'm mad about that firebox or anything. Not at all. We have various components for it, dotted in various bags. And our gear set and motor, which I forgot to slice up. I did plan on taking the back of this one off on the Dremel during the week, because, you know, that would, no matter what I do, that's not going to fit inside the loco. Yeah, let's get the camera in more of a position where you can actually see it. Why are you not holding properly? Stupid camera. Best fix that. So yeah, we've got words. I can do words. Connecting rods. We've got motor mount. So this motor mount is probably going to come off to use the one designed for the kit, because I think with the one it's designed for, there won't actually need to be any trimming away of the bottom of the boiler. That should all fit up inside there. But we shall see. We've got all the wheels, we've got the axles, we've got, yeah, the crank pins. See, I can English. Bearings and spacers and various other little bits. It should in general be a very simple chassis to put together. There's lots of various detail bits dotted around as well. So we do have brakes to add, we do have sandboxes to add. I've had one of these kits sitting in the cupboard for about 30 years. Glad I watched last week and saw the height issues before I finally get to build. Yes, I was disappointed with that, because usually DJH kits are quite good, but that struck me that the boiler is probably up at C2X sort of height rather than C2 height, so perhaps they used the same boiler for both kits. But yeah, I certainly was not impressed when that happened. But if it's helped you, then that's, you know, that's what I aim for, is to help people and find these problems. So if it helps you, I've done my job, and I am happy. We are going to start by getting the spacers out and making sure these are at least square. I don't expect the screws to drop through straight away, because these are double-edged frames, and I think they'll probably need opening out a bit where they don't quite line up properly. Oh, that one's okay. Of course, it's nice if they go all the way through on their own and don't need the whole opening out. Get that one part way in. And then get this one in as well. If I'd have thought about this beforehand, I would have got my Poppy's Woodtech jig out the cupboard. I've had that for over a year now and have never used it. I made the kids get it for me for Christmas. Not this Christmas just gone, but the Christmas before. We have some nice Romford wheels. And the axles to go with them. And the bearings. So I'm just going to essentially dry fit all this, because what I want to know is that the chassis is square before I start soldering bits together. Because there's nothing worse than soldering it all together and discovering it's not quite right and having to undo it. Choosing the like button gone out of fashion. I hope it hasn't, because we should be smashing that like button. But there is the bot to remind you as well. I want you to like, subscribe and all that other wonderful goodness. God, this really doesn't want to go in here. If anything's going to knock it off being square, it's going to be me, not filing down the holes evenly. A consensual tickle. I can let you off with a consensual tickle, I suppose. No, definitely not interested in going in yet. Aren't you glad they have these screw together chassis that are nice and quick to put together? The amount I'm having to open out the hole, it almost feels like I shouldn't be bothering with bearings. There we go. No, still not. There we go, we've got two bearings that can sit in their holes. They need to come out again in a second so I can get the file through the middle from the other side, but we'll let them live in there for now. Obviously this job would be easier if I had a reamer of the correct size, but I don't. So once we've done this and we've tested it and we've made sure it's square, the bearings will need soldering in place. And there's a front and rear spacer that also gets soldered in. It's that one that was loose. But so it's important to know that it's all going to fit together properly and be square and not be riding around with one wheel off the ground. There we go, that's the rear bearings in. No, that still needs a little bit more. And there we go, that's the middle bearings in. A little bit more. And there we go, that's all the bearings sat in the chassis. So as I say, DJH are nice and they include a little extra spanner for you doing the nuts on these. However, I've got a Markets one, which is much nicer. Now that's not going to be fun. There we go, it's through. We're not worried about actually quartering them properly at the moment because they'll be coming back off once we've tested it. All we are worried about is putting the wheels on and checking that all of them touch the ground. But yeah, I don't think I've seen a kit that actually includes a little etch for doing these nuts before. And it's a really helpful feature for people that don't have one of these. Because whilst you might think you're getting them nice and tight and done up properly without one, I assure you, you're not. I have tried plenty of times, yeah. Oh, there's a tiny little lump just on the bottom of that there. No, have I not got it yet? It's helpful when your bearings aren't quite true, isn't it? I can't see anything wrong with this one now. Just using the nice bright background to see if I can see anywhere else obvious where it's not quite round. There's obviously something on the edge of it. So we have wheels. It would appear we have wheels. How much is this kit and does it come with motor and wheels? So DJH do have it on their website. the motor and wheels are separate, but you can get direct from them. I honestly can't remember how much it is on there. I actually got this one second hand with everything, which is how I get most of my stuff these days. But I do believe it's quite expensive. Yay, none of the wheels turn. That's a good sign, isn't it? I think this one is a bit tight because I shouldn't be able to hold it by the wheels and the chassis support itself. It should fall down like that. But I'm pretty sure that we have all the wheels nice and square. Is the locomotive going to be tender driven or loco driven? Loco driven. We have our motor here that will sit down onto this middle wheel eventually. So we know we've got some tightness in this rear bearing to sort out. But other than that, we know that all the chassis is square and we can solder it. The only thing that's putting me off kit building is the price. That's fair. So I got this one second hand in an eBay auction and I paid about £100 for the whole thing, and that did include the wheels and the motor and everything. It is certainly more than that brand new from DJH. But kits can be had quite reasonably second hand. Even if it's certainly no U-Class motor from 1B, just a lawsuit. Indeed, no U-Class. That was a shame, but yes, a lawsuit. Oh, I will admit I knew about, that's one of the things I knew about up front. Along with obviously the VEP that I knew was getting redone. So yeah, it was very interesting to see that the wheels are round, not square. The wheels are indeed round. It's the best shape for wheels. Although the ends of the axles are square. Hydration is important, everyone. So, with that checked, we want to open up this bit. Well, we have one bit here marked as R. And one bit here marked as F. They're the front and rear spacers, if you couldn't guess. And they have slots they go into. I will have to take it apart to get them in there properly. Well, I would expect I would anyway. But you get where I'm coming from here. Now that we know it is square, we can add these spacers and get them soldered in place. And that will make our chassis one solid unit. So that front one in fact they both need the holes opening out a tiny bit. So we shall take it back apart and do that. Not that that's going to be a particularly easy thing to do. Because you can't really do much. There's certainly not room to get a file in there. But I wasn't expecting them to be perfect straight out. Should really be pushing that through from this side, shouldn't I? What would you say is better for a beginner? These sorts of kits for South Eastern Finecast, SR Manual, College goods. So I would say South Eastern Finecast kits are great for beginners. They are where I cut my teeth for kit building. And they very much come with the Oak Hill seal of approval. I hear there's a model shop that can get them for you. Wink wink. Hashtag not sponsored. We've lost a bearing out of there. Ah, it's still on the wheel. There we go. Are you not also now a shill for putting in the shill command, Sophia? Ah, see? See, it's not just me. How's the rough cost, if you don't mind me asking? So, I can do them slightly less than their advertised prices, but not by a lot. 10% or so less than the actual retail price on the South Eastern Finecast site, which is a lot less expensive than a DJH kit. Yes, that's just temporarily employing me. So, you know, on Friday we were discussing the amount of money I needed to take to meet my target for Saturday, Sophia. And how I got it really, really wrong to start with and had to go, oh wait, no, it's not that much, it's actually only this much. I just want to say that I took double the higher amount. Good evening, Alexander. How are you? I hope you are well. You join us as I am just opening up holes in this chassis so we can solder it. That was my wording for it, yes. In fact, to make it even better, Sophia, I took that higher amount in a single sale. Don't get those sales every day, but when we do, my gosh, are they good sales. So originally listening to these kits, when I first saw the price of DJH kits, yeah, DJH kits are not cheap. I am going to turn on the soldering iron, bring the solder and stuff over here. But yeah, I took that large amount in a single sale. And we did some international sales. Also going to polish up around the wheel bearings. Did you sell an enormous batch of terriers to yourself? I'm not sure that should count. I did not sell an enormous batch of terriers to myself. I only have 21 terriers in 00 gauge. I love my use of the word only there. Take that off there because I'll forget otherwise. And also polish up these on both sides because I'm bound to put them in the wrong way round. But good evening, Tom. How are you? I have already watched your video you put up earlier. It was very good. I rather enjoyed it. Some behind the scenes layoutage. Check out Tom's video, everyone. Right. It's not going to stand up in there long enough, is it? I'm going to need to feed them through once I put it on again. Mods, I don't have access to block right now. Could you please? Thank you. I realise it's terrible that I don't have access to that, but Streamlabs be Streamlabs, yo. Don't slip like that with your screwdriver, it's not good for you. So, we're going to put loads and loads of flux on there apparently. And since we've polished up both sides, we can solder both sides. Do you run DC or DCC? I am DCC. I was sold on DCC when I was first getting back into the hobby. Someone from RM Web, who is no longer an RM Web user, but was local to me, invited me to come play with his layout, and he had DCC sound, and I went, right, I guess I'm having DCC then. The bot says hydration is important. I don't have many sound fitted locos yet, but I have just sound fitted my Adams Radial, and it's a wonderful loco now. I'll have to make sure next time we have an on-stream running session to get the radial out and we can see how well DCC sound works over the interwebs. How hard is wiring DC to these kits? It's not, honestly. It's literally, instead of going from your pickups to your motor, you're going from your pickups to your chip to your motor. I actually don't have any chips here to demonstrate with at the minute. I've got some ordered. Quite a lot ordered because I've got to do a load for some customers as well, but otherwise I would show you the simplicity of it. What livery is the radial? In LSWR pea green, as preserved. which is the livery the real one was still wearing when the kits were released. I'm using the latest DCC chips. They're great. Yes, I use them too. Well, I've heard people say they're not great. Those people are wrong. Saw someone on one of the industrial Facebook groups sound fit one of the EB kits. That's mad. People are mad. Generally. I have seen a DCC sound fitted N-gauge Class 08. That is mad. And with that out, we can fit some flux around the edge of it. Might actually be easier to solder this from the outside. The biggest problem with soldering things like this is getting the metal warm enough. Because at first you're going in there with the metal cold and your solder is re-solidifying as soon as it touches it. And it briefly sticks your soldering iron to it. Speaking of liveries, I might repaint the quarry shunter into the nice blue and bronze as a reward for actually working on my layout. That seems like a good reward. You should do that. I very much approve. And good evening, Red. I am very well. How are you? Right. We are down a moderator. That is not good. I don't suppose Mr. Alex is here. There we go. Apparently the reward for being employed by me is becoming a moderator on the channel. So if you happen to be employed by me right now, you should notice that your name will go blue and have a little spanner next to it on your next message. So if people start spamming, please deal with them. That was quite easy to solder in from behind. So solder's seeped all the way through, so it's really held nicely. Yeah, that's what you get. I had a message to alert me that we technically have no moderators at the moment, so you got promoted. How's everyone doing? Very well, thank you. It's the cheapest complete kit you can buy. That's, yeah. I don't know. So, chances are, though, going for the cheapest kit you can buy, probably not the best idea. What you want is a good kit. And I can definitely recommend Southeastern Finecast for good loco kits at very reasonable prices. That's really hot because I've just had a soldering iron on it. But yes, Sophia, if you now click on people's names, you should be able to delete messages and ban them and all that stuff. Don't go abusing your power. Otherwise, I'll find you all the really boring jobs to do at the shop. I'll bring all those unboxed cars and their boxes along. I do run a model shop. I part own and run Train Times Model Shop in Eastbourne. I ban myself in that case. Oh, excellent. Right, so that is all three of those done. It's really, really hot, you know. Got to stop touching the hot thing. Because you have I have access to Southeastern Finecast kits, certainly. There might be. I mean, I also have like from a rolling stock point of view, I have access to all of the stuff that Pico make. What you need are postable oven gloves. Yes, or to start using these, which are ceramic, so the heat doesn't transfer onto me from them. They are, however, absolutely filthy. So I can pick up the hot stuff with these. In fact, technically, I can grab the I can grab the end of the soldering iron with these. They are good. Kitmaster Dapol kits. I think so, yes. I do believe I can get those. I can certainly get Dapols ready to run stuff, so I expect I can get their kits. Come on, metal, warm up. There we go. Returned from the land of terrible internet. Welcome back from the land of terrible internet. I hope you enjoyed your time there. Look at me, not burning myself. Aren't I clever? Don't answer that, please. Rather a real adult moderator. I spent some of it building a footbridge. Well, hey! More footbridge progress is best footbridge progress. I love this time minimal wagon one with the open doors. They were the first one of railway kits I ever made. Aha! Excellent. I have one of their cattle wagons in the shop that's been built in my second-hand collection, which has been built with the doors opening, and it's fantastic. I can't see myself ever wanting a cattle wagon where the doors can be opened, but I love the fact it exists. It's a bit like one of the shop's wagons, which I've put onto the Pico Wonderful wagon chassis with the the working leaf springs. I can't see that ever being a feature I need, but I love the fact it's there. That wasn't very nice of you, wheel bearing. It went all the way to the floor. It's alright, Linny, if I spot the supposed as, I'll let you know. Do you post around the UK? I post around the world. Never mind the UK. Now that's all soldered together, seems like a good time to double check that it's still square. Now, some people might say I'm being overcautious here, checking again already. My response to that would be, I'd rather check too much and it all work than not check enough and it not. That was tighter than last time, so I'm guessing I've got some solder in there. If you type, if you type !shill in the chat, that gives you a link to my website, not to my shop's website. Right, that side's also really tight. The thing about the website is it is still very much under construction. So it doesn't even have everything I have in the shop on it, never mind all the myriad of other stuff I can get to add to it. Because the shop itself isn't very big, so I can't keep loads and loads and loads of stuff in stock, unfortunately. Maybe I should just go and clean them all up. So far, so good. I have lined all those two up. I'm going to line this one up as well. So then we put it onto the glass to check that all the wheels turn, because then all the wheels are touching the bottom, and they do indeed all turn. And I suppose it is quite important to check it actually fits. That end wants to go in first. There we go, we made a loco. Don't have to watch the rest of this now, do you? You've seen me make the loco. How long will it take for Southeastern Finecast kit to arrive, roughly? So I don't have any Southeastern Finecast kits in stock at the moment, so I would have to order them and then get them shipped out. So they might be a bit longer than you would like. So there is a few adjustments we need to make to the body. Would you believe it? Around the bottom of the firebox. So we're just cutting off all the bits that are overhanging on the inside. Because it is, the chassis is catching a little bit on them at the back there. There we go. And now it isn't. So yeah, there we go. Look, we've built a whole loco. Isn't that great? It's only 10 past 10. Nice website. Thank you, Jordan. Very much appreciated. Choo-choo. Ready for progress. Thank you both. Good evening all. I hope you're quite well. My apologies for my lateness. Good evening, Killian. Do not apologise. Enjoy the fact you've turned up at a time when I can roll the loco back and forth across the workbench. I think I will need to file a little bit down on the front of this buffer beam here. But we'll leave that for now and go back to making the chassis work. Screw back on there. And chuck away some of these extra bits of white metal. And remind everyone that indeed, hydration is still important. So this is the point where we want to start thinking about the motor. So as I say, what I believe we're going to do is get rid of the mount on here and replace it with this mount here. Which wants to do something a little bit like that. And then it solders in like that. Now I would love to get my little Phillips head screwdriver that's designed to undo these screws. But I don't know what I've done with it. I bought it in here earlier, having been using it. And then it vanished. How long do these kits usually take to construct? How long's a piece of string? Is the honest answer to that. Every kit varies and the time taken varies based on your skill level and confidence as well. I have a bit of a reputation for not being slow at these things. So we're going to want to pop that one out of there, clearly. Take the file to that bit that's left behind. There it is. I need to be on the motor somewhere because these screws... Oh, that's handy. It's fallen right in the right place and the right way up. They have a tendency to get held by the magnets on the motors, so they never go far. And so now is when it's a real shame that I forgot to trim down the rear of this. Because now that we're seeing how all this fits together, and that it does indeed fit together, I don't want this one. That's not the worm that's going on. We're using this one. What's the difference between Romford and Scale Link wheels? Romford have a metal centre, Scale Link have a plastic centre. Scale Link are also going out of production as the man who owns the company is retiring. That's the wrong end of the motor. That was silly. So what we are doing now is, again, test fitting, making sure that our gears line up as we want them to. Make sure that fits over there nicely. It does. Quite a tight fit. Don't really need to tighten it up, but I choose to. And there we go. The motor is driving the middle wheel set. I don't know if you can actually see that turning on screen, but it is. There we go, you can definitely see it now. Right, ladies and gentlemen, at the minute I'm not paying too much attention to getting that the right way round. I am just getting it put together, if I'm honest. Because the wheels will be coming back off again anyway. And then here we have, once I've cut the tail off, there's another piece. To go on the back here and just hold the rear of the motor in place as well. And that will make sure we really do have everything lined up as it should be. Arbitrary anyway, as you can see, one side at a time. Well, yes, that's true. So now the wheels all need to come back off. The motor needs to come out of this mount. I need to clean up the top of this a little bit. And then get the motor mount soldered on. And always put these nuts back on your axles. Because if you don't, you will lose them. I'm just trying to think if I have any 00 layouts where there's any chance you'd be watching this from the front. I suppose technically if it turned up on South Park Quarry bringing a train in, you could see it from the camera 2 view, but that's not a view that you can actually look at from in real life. And it's probably a bit too big to be doing that. It might be alright, it might fit in the head shunt. But the O only just fits. I'm not sure if this is longer or not. So we've got that off. Just a little bit of clean up here. Sits in slightly nicer now. Gauge is this? 00. Standard 00. Nothing special. And I'll put these screws back in the front of the motor so that they don't go missing. Next time they go in there should be when they stay in there. So with that bit cleaned up, the motor mount now sits in there quite nicely. It does show that we are going to need to lose a bit of material under the boiler, which is something I did wonder about. Once this is on, we will be able to do that though, so that's okay. Going to give this a polish top and bottom. Would it run on Hornby second radius? I expect so. I'd be very surprised if it wouldn't. Although I'll be honest, I don't recommend Hornby track for anything. But Pico is the same dimensions. But still, if you can upgrade to Pico, upgrade to Pico. So go to the bathroom. Feel nice and refreshed. Well, that is good that you feel nice and refreshed. Not sure you need to be sorry for feeling refreshed. So now we are just going to get some solder on there. Try and keep it in the right place whilst we do that, eh? There we go, a couple of blobs at the back. They're holding it in place. And again, I said earlier, I need to get the metal a little warmer so that the solder's not solidifying on it instantly, and we can just spread it along the seam. It's a nice touch from Gauge Master to glue screwdriver with the controllers. Yes! I told you it came with absolutely everything you needed. It's fantastic. And so there we go. Our motor mount is now attached. The bot says hydration is important. It's very right, it is. But unfortunately the hydration vessel is empty, so I shall have to refill that. For Christmas I got a multi-tool pen, doubles as a spirit level and a ruler and a screwdriver, and of course a pen. A Swiss Army pen, clearly. There we go, hydration is important. I technically got myself this for Christmas. Final payment was on the 23rd of December. That's a good point. Hang on, there's something on the instructions here. I just want to check if I have. Doesn't look like I do. Unless that is these. There's spacers to keep the wheels slightly further apart. They are genuinely mentioned on the instructions. Looks nice, yeah. Thank you, Lewis. It was worth every penny I paid for it. I mean, the spacers would bring of this thickness would bring it to about the right place so that they're not moving, but I'm not sure I want them to have no side to side movement, you see. But it does feel a bit sloppy on there at the moment. No, they don't fit. There's the right number of them and they're on the right part, but maybe it's just that one that doesn't. Yeah, it's just that one that doesn't fit. That's typical, isn't it? So let's cut a couple off and see what the play on the wheels is like with them there. I don't want them to have absolutely no movement. I can already tell that's going to be too tight. Not even going to bother checking. I would rather have that little bit of slop than completely rigid for 00 stuff. If I were doing it for fine scale, then I'd fully compensate it all. But I'm not. And I don't think I'd use this chassis if I was. So, what we should really do next yeah, with 00 you do need some movement. Exactly. Is cut away a little bit at the front of the boiler. Which would probably be absolutely fine if the boiler was slightly higher up in the air. So that we can get the motor inside it. Because actually being able to get the motor in the loco seems important. Do you know where I could find building plans for a good shed? It depends on what type of good shed you're after. It's a very broad question. Take those bits off there and that will slide down nicer, hopefully. These axle bearings in the chassis, are they available separately from the kits? I don't know, but they are the same as the ones I've used in everything else. So wherever I've bought them, they've been this style of bearing, so I wouldn't expect they'd be hard to get a hold of. So there we go, that now fits up inside there. Very tight when it gets in there. When you're building a C2X. I've already got a DJH C2X. Just a brick one that can have wagons go through it. See, again, there's so many different types. Like if you're just after something generic and you don't mind what one it is, or where it's based after, personally, I'd use the Metcalf kits. Or something out of the Pico catalogue if you want something plastic. And I do mean that, don't suppose the... because I use buildings out of the Pico kit catalogue all the time. This is the engine shed for South Park Quarry, which is out of the Pico catalogue. Gareth's fingers weren't harmed in the making of this live stream. Oh yeah, I've burnt myself plenty of times. Because Pico own so many brands of kits that they generally have everything you want I already have kits from them ready to go on the new Oak Hill. 2 Hornby engine sheds, I got them second hand. Oh, well, in that case, if you're after the Hornby ones, there's a very good chance I've got a Hornby goods shed. I don't often think about the fact I've got those. But yeah, Metcalf Pico are my usual go-tos for building kits, for stuff like that. Depending on your skill level. I'm so annoyed that I forgot to chop this off. I don't think my cutters are capable of it. Let me put my goggles on and give it a try. I'm not getting the Dremel out at this time of night. Whilst I attempt this, what's everyone up to this evening whilst I'm building this? It is that time of day. Remember, when attempting these, PPE is important. And so are eyes. Because eyes are useful. Exactly. Good evening, Christopher. How are you? I hope you are well. You join us with a rather chassis-y looking chassis. Yeah, don't just keep turning back. There is a chance that these are going to do it. They are actually a lot stronger than I thought. Not too bad, thank you. How is everyone here? I am very well, thank you. Just fitting the last 2 panels to the Linton Town footbridge. Wahey! Progress on the footbridge. I have plans to get a few depot kits, including the manual turntable. Also, I'm laying on my bed watching your live stream. Well, hey, I approve of the depot turntable. It's a good kit, that. I've built it myself. Yeah, these are pretty much chopped right through this. I was not expecting that to go that easily, but there we are. Test wired the layout and made a YouTube channel for it. Well, hey, what we're doing this evening, I'm here watching this and cleaning track. Yay, clean track. Such a fun job. Rather you than me. So in theory now, I can put a motor inside this and we can know that everything is fine. Because of course if something like the motor doesn't fit, then there's obviously things we need to adjust. Looks like we need to lose a little bit more thickness. Just a tiny amount more thickness. On the boiler there. So they really have made that awkward with the way the boilers are. So I bet this hole would be absolutely fine if it was that much higher up. So I do need to open this bit out a little bit as well. Luckily this is not really a visible part of the boiler, so cutting away lots of material is not the end of the world. I actually rather enjoy it, yeah. Doing it, he needs doing a lot more than I've found. Well, if you enjoy it that much, I've got plenty of layouts you can come and do it on whenever you want. There we go. The motor fits. Only just, I am going to just file a bit of a groove in the front here. Doesn't need to be much, it just looked a bit tight on the shaft coming out there, and I'd rather give it its best chance at running well. I mean, the thing is, if it is catching on white metal, it'll wear that groove itself in eventually anyway. But yeah, so motor fits, motor is hidden, you will never know it's there. So I am happy. If it fits, I sit. I didn't realise you were a cat. And plenty of room up front for me to put a DCC chip with some nice long cables. Progress, everyone. So now really we want to trap that motor in with this. Or do we? Because I don't think it actually needs it. It naturally wants to fall forwards, and if it's got the pressure of the wheel pushing it up, that's just going to give it a slightly tighter fit, and a tighter fit seems good to me. But what I do want to do is slightly tighten the screw in this shaft, because the shaft isn't quite tight. Doesn't need much. That'll do. That's nice and tight now. So I guess the next thing this needs is sanding gear and brakes. And then we're basically done with the chassis. So it needs wiring up and pickups adding and all that jazz, but you get what I mean. Hydration is important. How much point is there in adding pickups to a chassis when I don't have the DCC chip to fit in it yet? So now let's have a look for these small parts. There is one set of sanders in here, but only one set. Aha, there's the other set. And that looks like my brakes as well. Tell you what, they really do put these in interesting ways. A set of sanders is in here with another couple of castings that I don't need right now. And then the other set's in a completely different bag on their own. So we've got sand boxes that go... Well, that one actually fits in there nicely. Excellent. In front and behind there. And then we've got brakes. That we fit in these holes here. So that's brake, sand, brake, sand, brake. In that order. For the good shed, I was talking about thinking of a brick one of an LSWR branch line that can have locos or wagons pass through. Right, so an LSWR style brake good shed. The person to ask there would be Linny. So Linny, would you happen to know a book that would contain some drawings of an LSWR brick built goods shed? That is the question. Locos engine go through the sheds. Well, you risk getting the unloaded goods covered in soot and or steam. With GWR, so that's always good. So for a foot free, I can't have one, but plan to get 5 more. I mean, They're not my favourite moguls by a long shot, but I do like moguls. The moguls I approve of are C50, C56, A620. Obviously, the best moguls are the Brighton K class, followed by the Southeastern and Chatham N class. The N is the mogul, isn't it? I am right there. I know I've got both of them. It is excellent. But yeah, they're the best two moguls. But I do like moguls, they're nice engines. Brighton K first, Sophia, then the N. I did that as an off-camera build with just updates in videos, my Brighton N class. And one of the update videos to that is possibly still my most watched video ever. My most watched video ever is either that one or my review of the Hornby Not Very Generic coaches. Exactly, Alan. Special K. Good having Brighton people here to defend the Brighton. So, with those done, I really want to try and do this soldering from the inside because I've got everything else soldered from the inside. So I'm going to try. I don't know how well it will go. I'm going to fit the sandboxes. Then put the wheels back on so that I can fit the brakes and line them up properly. All things bright and beautiful. Ah. See, some things were just meant to be. When you can cover hymns to be about how beautiful your locos are. Hymns sung in the Titfield Thunderbolt, no doubt. Brighton is first to everything. It's okay to get confused sometimes, though. You're only human. I'm in SCR territory, but Brighton have running rights. Yeah, you're not far outside Brighton territory. And your super cool new job with your super cool new boss is deep in the heart of Brighton territory. I don't know if a book with LSWR good sheds drawings in, but you might have better luck looking at the BRMNA list of magazine articles. There you go. There is your answer about LSWR good sheds. Wish I was in my locos territory one day. Yeah. Brighton ends at Bo Peep Junction. Does it? I'm going to take your word on that. I thought St Leonard's was still Brighton. I'm probably wrong. That's usually the way. Mentioned several articles featuring SWR good sheds, but I don't know which were stone and which were brick. There we go. Very helpful, Linny, as always. So we're definitely going to be going back over these holes with the file again in a second. I've just filled one in. And yes, you're right, I probably should take the motor off whilst I'm doing all this. But it's there now. And the less times I take it off, the less I wear the screws and the threads for it. Right, let's let that cool down. Whilst I poke through all these holes again. Burberry Junction is St Leonard's. Yeah, but I thought that like the station, which is the other side of Bo Peep Junction from Brighton. Page building drawings, articles, magazines for the southern region. That's very helpful of you, Linny. Same page, all the list. And there's a link to the Streamlabs tips if you want to leave me a tip. Please remember, not only is it not mandatory, but I don't actually encourage doing it. I mean, if you really do enjoy it enough that you want to pay me something, then it's all the help is appreciated and the money does go back to producing more videos and live streams for you. But I really don't encourage it. I'm not that good. GWR was the one true large company in Britain before nationalisation. And you can always adapt stone one to brick. True. One of the large railway companies in Britain. That's what I meant. Sorry. Biggest doesn't mean best necessarily. No, it does not. Good evening, Andy, and welcome. How are you? Hope you are well. You're all running late, had to work today. Boo work. Warrior Square Station is SECR. Fair enough. For some reason I thought it was Brighton. I don't know why. It's probably that story with in the early days when they trapped the Brighton locos at Hastings. I think of, yeah, they didn't do it at Warrior Square, they did it at Hastings. Don't chop wood in a rubber boat. You know, thank you, Christopher. That's it's a very helpful tip, or at least it would be to someone that ever will possibly be in a rubber boat. That's not me. I'm much less of a boaty person than I should be with my family history. So, there we go. Holes cleaned up. Insides of the frames tinned, hoping we can get away with not having to put any solder on the outside. Because it would look so much better if we can get away with that. Something as West Marina Station. That could be what I'm thinking of, yeah. That could be why I'm confused. There we go, that goes through nicely. I would like to tin it, but in this case it probably will just make things harder because it then won't fit. That is lined up square, and now is when I realise my solder is away in its bag and I need both hands to get it out. So we have the iron turned all the way down. We are using the 70-degree solder. Which has given us enough purchase to stick that, but unfortunately it has slipped in my hand as I was doing so, so it needs to come back off-ish. I'm not doing too well here, am I? Never mind. Worse things have happened. There we go. That's nice and straight on there now. Oh, focus on the chassis camera. There you are. Doesn't look very straight in that view, but I assure you it is. You have to admit that the Kings and the Hall class of the Great Western Railway on the stunning locos, Brighton Mogul's from the top 10 best locos ever. I can't get excited about any Great Western engines. They all look the same. Just a big fleet of pannier tanks. Where's the round one? There it is. Not even something like 15XX. Oh, the 15XX wasn't really a Great Western engine though, was it? They were built by BR. But as far as pannier tanks go, core, yeah. Aren't they nice? It's the outside valve gear that does it. What about the Great Bear? No. The Great Bear is just another pannier tank. Everyone knows that. But honestly, nothing Great Western gets me particularly excited. I never put flux on it, did I? That's why it's not flowing through. And holding and stuff. And good evening, Javier. I am very well. How are you this evening? Distinct lack of 044s on the GWR. That's because everything they had was a 57XX Sophia. Great Western tender engines as well as tank engines. Yeah, but even they were pannier tanks. Where's the picture of it? There we go, see? Even Great Western tender engines were pannier tanks. That's USG. That's GWR, mate. 57 is superb. Good evening, Bob. How are you? You know I'm all winding. You know I'm all winding you up anyway. It's good fun to say that everything on the Great Western is. I like to say that it's so identical that everything is a 57XX, which obviously it isn't. And I like to think it's so obvious that everyone knows I'm joking when I say it. For those that don't know, I really do, like, I really am joking when I say that. I'm just looking to see if I've got anything Great Western in here at the moment. There we go, look. I've got a poorly Lord of the Isles in here. And this is mine, it's not a customer's. I've got a not quite so poorly 101 as well, which I think is a repaint that someone's done. Quite a late start today, but besides that, we are doing quite alright. I'm glad to hear you are doing alright. Well, they're not different from the 466 Northern Metro. Well, I mean, you make a good point there, Killian. No, you're joking, Gary. Good, glad someone does. Not enough steampunk on the Dean single. No, I know. I don't know what I'm doing with it, to be honest. 14-48 cents have their modern uses for me. Chassis and sexy R044s. GWR was good in 19th century, downhill after that. I quite agree. I quite agree. And every Great Western loco looks better with Indian red frames. Hydration is important. Of course, the real highlight for the Great Western is when they had some terriers, because obviously that's the highlight. Some pannier tanks made it as far as one of the Channel ports. Well, they were just coming home, you know. The Great Western stole the pannier tanks from the Brighton's wing tanks that found their way into Great Western ownership long before the Great Western had any pannier tanks. Just saying. Only dipped in to say hello this evening, so I'll have to go up wooden stairs now by and sleep soundly, folks. Okay, good night, Bob. Thank you for coming. Great to see you as always, even if it is only brief. Sleep well and don't work too hard. Add some copper, add some gears, look at through some welding goggles and presto JJ steampunk. Of course, they got Craven's Willow Walk shunters. They did. They did indeed. So, you want steampunk, do you? I've got just the picture for you. From the Oak Hill inspired by Hornby range. It's the Steampunk Terrier. That's how you do steampunk, isn't it? Just random gears thrown on it. Unfortunately, the rest of the inspired by Hornby range I did was photoshopped, and I don't have the photoshops on my phone, so I can't show you those. Once all class local is up and running, you should go see it. I'd like to see as much steam as possible when it's running, so yeah, definitely. I made it as far as Scotland, indeed. Just threw up in my mouth a little bit. So I want to make my inspired by Hornby range that I made up the other day public. But you know, after the inspired by the Titfield Thunderbolt and stuff, I was chatting with a friend, and we came up with some ideas that I threw together. So, as well as the Steampunk Terrier for my inspired by Hornby range, I've got a little saddle tank that will be familiar to most people called Sooty Jill. But again, that was Photoshop, so I can't show you the image because it's not on my phone. And I did some generic store brand cola wagons, which it has been suggested I should change the spelling of cola. At the moment, it's spelt like the drink. And the one that really is a bit too close and would probably get me in trouble was I did Lion in a film that it wore in a film. It was called The Margate Tit, which seemed like a very appropriate name for it, being inspired by Hornby. Obviously as references to the film it's inspired by and Margate because of Hornby. No other reason, obviously. But I'm not convinced I wouldn't get in trouble for putting those pictures public. A million versions of Flying Money Pit. Well, I do have 2 Flying Money Pits in the shop. There was 3 when you were there on Friday. There's only 2 now. Didn't know you were an ornithologist. Yeah, of course. It's a reference to the name of the film it's inspired by, nothing else. And as I say, since the range was inspired by Hornby, I thought I'd best put Margate in there as well. Where are you? There you are. Evidently, you know, on a related note, the shop is a Rapido stockist if you want to get in your orders for the Titfield Thunderbolt. Do you all a good deal if you mention you came from here? I mean, there's no page up on the website for it at the minute, so go to the contact us page and drop me an email. It wouldn't be as bad as Swampy steampunk things from the other year. Well, I tried to make my steampunk terrier as terrible as possible to match those. I'm off to bed, so good night. Oh, good night, Paderborn. Thank you for coming. Great to have you here as always. Sleep well, don't work too hard, and all that jazz. Right then. I think we should put the wheels on. Get the brakes soldered on. It is nearly 11:30 here in UK time. Because of course, if we do this with the wheels in place, it allows us to get the brakes nice and close. So we actually want to get these the right way round this time. Keeping the name of Basilica alive by making it undead was so sad to see. It was. I was genuinely upset when I saw that attached to that name. Little Terrier still look like a loco, unlike the misshapen Hornby lumps. Well, yeah, I wasn't going to go far enough as to actually ruin a terrier, was I? I've only got 21 of them. Better be off now. Got to be up at 7 tomorrow. Fair enough. You'll be glad to know I also have to be up at 7 tomorrow. So I totally get why you would want to go to bed now. Let's get this screw tightened a bit there so that the motor can turn that wheel and look fantastic doing it. There's just one more to go in. And there we are. One happy loco-ish. So our brakes are joined together in pairs. A big bit of flashing between them. Nice and helpful that. Some of them have already broken off. Some of them still need the flashing removing from one side. But with this now, because we have put the wheels on, we can fit the brakes and bring them nice and close to the wheels. Like so. I'm going to focus on the chassis. There we go, like that. Which looks much better than having them a million miles away like you get on a lot of ready-to-run stock. Of course, what I haven't done is put any flux on that. So I'd best do that. I'm familiar with these wheels. Are the wheel centres electrolyzed from tyres or the isolation at the axle? Yes. You make a good point. I'm not sure they're all isolated. I think I want to put this one over here actually. So some of them are isolated at the tyre, some of them are not, I do believe. I'm glad you said something, because I completely forgot to check that. Because, of course, I was just chucking them in earlier. So that we could make sure it ran and stuff. So I don't know if the camera will pick this up. But this one here is our isolated one. And you can see between the wheel and the tyre there is something. So I don't know if the camera's picking it up. Hoping it is, but I don't know. You know what I said about losing those nuts if you... Oh, there it's okay. We don't lose things on this live stream, you see. I can see it indeed. Excellent. I'm glad the camera picked it up well enough. And in fact, it's even clearer on the back. So on these ones, it is the one with the axle is the isolated one. So you should see that there as a line round the inside of the tyre. And I can see that it's picking that up because my preview, even my preview can see that, which is tiny. Could have been a really awkward mistake if you hadn't have asked that, Andy, so thank you very much. Black ring sandwich between the wheel and the tyre. It's sort of a browny colour rather than black, but yes. Which wheels should be isolated in these kits? I neglect that. Which wheels should be isolated in these kits? I neglect that you're supposed to do that. Honestly, not the end of the world either way. The instructions do have them different ways round. So what ones do the instructions say? So in fact, the instructions say this side isolated. Generally, when I am doing these things, I like to use wheels that are insulated on both sides and not have a live chassis. But at the same time, if I were to put this on here like it's supposed to and have it like that, then this contact is touching the chassis. It's touching the chassis, it's not quite touching the wheel though. I might actually put that on up in the air like that so that it's not keeping it away from it. But that's just me. Nothing wrong with live chassis, just not how I like to do it. something I'm dealing with myself, so I'm paying attention. It's a good job someone's paying attention, isn't it? So when you're sitting here trying to run your live stream and you're thinking, oh, what can I say next to break up the silence? It's really easy to completely miss these things. So I do very much appreciate it when you catch me on these things. Such as, for example, if I say these things 50,000 times. I've got to say, it's the worst part of it, breaking up silence. You do very well, really. Thank you. Yes, it is definitely the worst part. I am very conscious of when I'm not saying anything now. Well, when I'm doing this anyway. Not normal everyday life, I don't worry so much about it. I'm glad you think I do well. It's one of the reasons I read out every message in chat. Okay, sometimes I do miss messages, but generally I read out every message. Remember to smash that like button, folks, says Linny. And yes, do remember to smash that like button. It does mean a lot. There are not a lot of things I ask for of my audience, but the like button does mean a lot. And on an equal note, if you're not enjoying what you see, smash the dislike button. As long as you hit one of them, I'm happy. Well, I can add that I've finished track cleaning. It's been tested to ensure all is good. Excellent. Excellent. So, time for cake. Wahey cake. I approve of cake. And what form of cake are we enjoying this evening? Oh, there go my eyes getting a bit funny. Might have to put my glasses on if they're going to do that. Cake is good, cake is a lie. Wait. Chocolate Swiss roll if someone passed me the plates. So, someone pass him the plates. We all get a bit of Swiss roll. And you know what goes down well with Swiss roll? Hydration, because hydration is important. Clean track is the best sort of track. That is what it would say in response to that, if it said anything in response to that. Or, I approve of clean track. Every time I'm sitting here doing this, I always think about all those times people have told me they're scared of soldering white metal. And I wonder how many people are watching me thinking that, like, oh, white metal soldering, that's scary. And I do mean really about people who can otherwise solder and they're specifically scared of white metal soldering. So I don't find it. I find it actually just as easy as everything else. Clean track is best track. Thank you, Sophia. Well said. Great if we could actually share cake around live. It would be fantastic if we could share cake around live. Darn teleporters, how dare they not be a thing yet? Well, if you could work on making them a thing for next week, Christopher, that'd be very much appreciated. So I know there must be a lot of people out there who are still scared of white metal soldering. Because that K-Class video I mentioned earlier, it was for a very long time my most watched video. The Brighton four-wheeler, the Hornby generic four-wheeler review did knock it off the top. I don't know if it's still the top one. But the K-Class video is how to solder white metal. So people are obviously still scared and wanting to learn how to do it. Here as well, the thought never occurred, but faith in making that a consideration. No, so I remember a time when I was scared of soldering white metal. And I used to be like, no, glue that. Fine. And yeah, I genuinely want to go back and take apart everything I've ever glued together and solder it. Studied silversmithing, and silver soldering is tricky. Soldering with an iron is easy after that. Oh god, yeah. Yeah, that's still one that I think, oh no thanks. I think it is like a lot of things with model rail kit welds. You ask it shown, sucking in a breath, and then proceeded to make it sound like a dark art. There is a lot of that goes on, isn't there? Still need to find your point wiring video. But you're using Inshall Frog points. It's easy. Nothing complicated to do. You don't need frog switches or anything. Car. You're more of the off you go and take your time and you'll get it. Well, yeah, that's because that's how it really works. Love to have 100,000 subscribers. I'm not sure I would actually. I like the fact that my subscriber count is low enough that when I'm live streaming every week, I can sit here and see at least most of the chat, even if I do miss the occasional bit. So, with those details soldered on, the next thing to do is to add the crank pins. Probably should have done that earlier. These would be nicer if they were the markets ones. The markets ones have a little indent in each side, like the Romford wheel nuts. And you put them over there and you turn it round, and this screwdriver does it all for you. And there's a link to the Facebook page, which means we must be entering the last quarter of an hour. I only have 29 subscribers. I mean, that's about where I was when I started out, and I was at the start of this at least at 540. So make content and they will come. I'll be honest with this, you only want subs that actually do it for your content, not just subscribe. Very true. Like the new Oak Hill sign, just seen that somewhere else this week. Like the new Oak Hill sign, I'd seen that somewhere else this week, just noticed it. Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it? I love the new running import. So it's a bit big for the layout, but it is absolutely gorgeous. I'm so happy with the job Richard did on it. Cannot fault that man at all. 541 currently. Well, hey, that means it's gone up by one since I looked at it earlier. Which was, what, 10 minutes before the live stream? But yeah, I only had about 30 or so subscribers when I started doing this, Lewis. So, you want subscribers? Make content. Don't make the type of content I do if you want subscribers, because this is not the type of content that draws people in. So you could quite easily be on thousands and thousands of subscribers in the time I've been doing it if you make the right type of content. But I'm not doing it for subscriptions. I'm doing it because I enjoy making the content, and I enjoy sitting here on a Sunday night talking to you lot. Now, I don't do much railway modelling for myself outside of these live streams now. It's all stuff for other people. Plus one earlier from my layout channel. Way layout channel. 5 subscribers. Are your 5 subscribers on this channel or your layout channel? There we go. Look, we have wheels that are all joined together and everything. Now, where's my pin? Darn it. I was hoping that wouldn't happen. Right, and I return. Mods, if you could please. What you want to do is just hit the block button or hide on this channel and it gets rid of all their messages. "29 videos in total, some of my layouts, some of my 3D printed narrowboat." Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Oh, that's no good. Wire strippers. This is going to go very, very badly, just so you know. But there we go. It ran. It moved. You all saw it. Now, right up until the rods fell off, which is what I knew was going to happen. There we are. Rod's fallen off on the other side. But she's alive. Oh, that makes me happy. So, last week when we did this, I said my aim was for us to get to the state of having a rolling chassis by the end of this evening. You've just seen it run. Did you get a replacement motor? Well, hey, well done, sir. Thank you, Christopher. Bravo. Thank you, Alan. It lives. Running rods, movement action. Thank you, everyone. Hooray. I was waiting for it to go bang, followed by a cloud of smoke and power going out. I mean, I realise I did all the electrics in this room myself, but I did them a bit better than that, I would like to think. Whilst we've got that far, and I would really like now to stick these on and cut it down and say, there we go, the chassis is done. In fact, they're quite nice and tight. They might hold it on well enough for it to be able to demonstrate its running ability. But I don't want to leave them on. I don't want to permanently attach them yet, because I want to be able to dismantle it for painting. But, you know, I'd like you to remember, because I was asked earlier how long kits take to build. This is only the second live stream on this loco. Now, we are right at the end of the live stream. But this is 6 hours work for everything we've done so far. Not only taking the mystery out of white metal soldering, but also making a chassis run in a couple of hours. Inspiring. Thank you, Alan. Means a lot. It really does. I like to say, if just one person finds my video or live streams useful, then it's all been worth it. If any one person goes out and attempts a loco kit because they've seen me do it, that really, really, really makes it worth my while. But how was evening? Good evening, Thomas. You turn up 6 minutes from the end. Car. I am good, sir. How are you? Footbridge plated, last bit's painting, black underside, grubby wood on the floor. Excellent. I want to see some pictures on Discord then, Linny. Oh, would heat shrink tubing hold them on temporarily? It would. But do I need to keep them held on temporarily is the question. That's amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed watching your videos and live streams. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Lewis. Let's bear in mind, it's always going to be slightly quicker if you're doing it on your Todd, so to speak. Yes, that is true. Now I'm like, been out on the town. Ooh. Fair enough. As Christopher rightly points out, I do build these things a lot quicker if I'm not live streaming. I can build an entire loco in an evening when I'm not live streaming. So it's quite a bit quicker. In fact, I believe I have before, in the past, built a white metal kit with an etched chassis and painted it, or, you know, primered it at least, in a single evening. It's a tank loco, not a tender loco, but it can be done. Don't say how I am currently not exactly family friendly. Maybe it's time for a build along with Gary attempt soon. Oh, that would be awesome. You know what would be even more awesome? If we could do that, but also everyone had cameras and we could occasionally switch and see what other people were doing. Would you always build the body first before the chassis? Not always. In this case, the instructions actually had the body built before the chassis. But there are advantages to building the chassis first, in that you can get the chassis built and running and build your body around it so you don't get tight spots. You know where the clearances need to be. As you saw earlier, we had some tight spots, but we dealt with those. And now we have a loco that runs. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily always build the body first, but the instructions are... What we have so far is what we did last week is step 1 of the instructions. What we have done this week is step 2 of the instructions. I'm looking forward to seeing what step 3 is. I assume we're probably going on to the tender next week, but I haven't actually looked. Yes. Step 3 is the tender. Step 4 is setting it up to be 1 unit. with the loco and tender together. No, sorry, that's step 5. Step 4 is detail parts like handrails and footsteps and stuff. Depending on how complicated the tender is, there are potentially only 1 or 2 more live streams of this build. Which I think is really cool. The fact that it's got this far this quickly. So I'm really happy with it. Other than the issues we had last week, and the issues we've had that they caused this week, it's been reasonably straightforward, and I'm very much looking forward to having a proper C2 on the layout, because I do like the C2s. They're wonderful locos. This one's going to be in good screen. I do have the paint for it. I think I have the transfers for it as well. I've certainly got the number plate. So we are potentially getting this one completely finished and not having to put it aside like the carriage we were building, because I don't have the paint and stuff that I need. But yes, here we are at midnight, so it is time to call it a night on this live stream, because I have to go to bed. So hydration is important, folks. It is indeed, Lewis, but the hydration vessel is empty right now. But don't worry, I will hydrate before actually going up to bed. And so yeah, I'd like to thank you all for coming. I've had a wonderful time. I really hope you have as well. I am looking forward to getting on with this again next weekend. You know, oh, pumpkin, oh, thanks and good night. So yes, so thank you for coming. I've had a great time. This has been Let's Build. I've been Gary. You've been awesome as always. Good night.